The United States and Iran are at war. Day 8/146. We have some discrepancy with the dates, but right now we're calling it day 146 of the U.S.-Iran war. What can I say? My missile alerts started going off. I have Bahrain's, I have Kuwait's, I have alerts for them set. I don't have the UAE's, although they didn't have any attacks. And alerts started going off, and news reports started coming in at 11 p.m. last night, Central European time, which is 1 a.m. Iran Persian Gulf time, and which, of course, for you in the United States would be about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, about 7 p.m. last night, between 6 p.m. U.S. Central Command said 6 p.m. Eastern. They launched their attacks on Iran. As we said, for the last 8 days, we have been at this saying Iran is striking the United States. The United States is striking Iran, which now comes back and strikes the United States. We have a full circle of conflict going on, which is actually starting to escalate according to Robert Pape's escalation ladder. And as you know, I have my own interpretation called the circle of stupid, which escalates into the next step of circle of stupid. And that is, we have these circular attacks going left, right, and center. The United States last night carried out yet another night of massive attacks on the Iranians. And if you have not heard why, I will inform you now. The attacks we talked about yesterday and the day before at Jordan's Muwafiq al-Salti, where air base in Jordan, where we said the Patriot missiles were not intercepting the missiles. We had video. These missiles were coming down much faster than anything we'd seen before, except a couple of times in Israel where Patriots were defeated. And Muwafiq al-Salti, we have a video of them shooting off as many as 6 Patriot interceptors and missing 4, at least a minimum of 4 Iranian ballistic missiles penetrated the air defenses at Muwafiq al-Salti and destroyed fuel dump, a drone flight line, a hangar which may have housed F-15 Eagles in it, and a barracks area. Apparently, the barracks area, and I don't know why this even exists. When I was in Iraq in 2020, what year was that? 2003.
Way before.
I'm just so far off. 2003, we had these things called CHUs, containerized housing units. And what they are is they're triple wide trailers that they bring up, and it has, rooms and a toilet for 2 to 4 men, sometimes 6 if you stack them up. However, in Baghdad, our biggest problem was shrapnel and direct hits from mortars and other other weapon systems. We had a wood framework built around us, and later on it would become a steel framework with metal roofs, sandbags on top of those, completely sandbagged in enclosures. Apparently, the missile alert happened that the Iranians were attacking, and some of the soldiers, sailors, and airmen at that base did not go out to the hardened shelters, or if they did, the hardened shelters are concrete, like stapler-shaped inverted letter U's that go down for like 25, 30 feet. And then there's what's called a jersey barrier, a short concrete barrier that's at the end, and you get inside there, and it has concrete protection for shrapnel. Whatever happened, 2 U.S. servicemen did not make it out of the CHUs or into the concrete and were killed directly by fire. A third one is missing, which means he was likely inside the containerized housing unit and which burned, and they have not positively identified his remains. 6 are in critical condition, and news reports are saying that these 6 are considered, how can I put it, condition red going to black. They are most likely not going to survive, is what one of the people said. They said they were stabilizing them and emergency medevacing them to the U.S. Army Hospital in Landstuhl at Ramstein Air Base. And there are more, at least another half a dozen, who are wounded and were treated in hospitals in Jordan near the Muwafaq al-Salti base. So the Iranians got definitely really serious licks in on us. And we saw from the video that this was going to be bad. We saw from the video that was going to be bad because they were aiming at the barracks. And you can be pretty damn sure they're going to be aiming at those barracks from now on. Wajeeh, you have a comment you'd like to make?
Yes. First of all, my condolences to the families of the U.S. soldiers and prayers and wishes to the soldiers and recovery. This is something serious. Meanwhile, the priority for our current military is check the testosterone level for our soldiers instead of actually fucking like fucking protecting the soldiers that on the battlefield. The reality of the situation, the priority right now for Pete Hegseth is that women are off of the battlefield. And it is proven to us that during this war, only people on the battlefield have been killed. People outside the battlefield have not been attacked. People on their own bases have not been attacked. The people who are considered side assets to get us intelligence and feedback on what they should do on the ground, they're not important anymore. So all we need to do is to test the testosterone level of the base itself next time, because if we test the testosterone level of the base, maybe the base itself could protect the soldiers in the future.
Well, the soldiers of the 480th Fighter Wing, which were actually stationed, their actual home base is Spengalen Air Base in Germany, which is one of the last remaining American F-16, actually, tell you the truth, last remaining air bases in Germany. Yeah, we have Rhein-Main, and we can use Ramstein, and we can use Rhein-Main Air Base. Ramstein's our primary base. Spengalen is the last place we have forward deployed, if I'm not mistaken, fighters in Germany. We used to have them in like 30 different bases in Germany. Yeah. Most are now stationed in England. So I'm quite surprised, but they had just rotated them in the day before. And I don't know if you've seen that video. There is a video of U.S. troops getting a direct hit within a few hundred meters of them, and the shrapnel and it looks like sparkles. Those aren't sparkles. That's not like fireworks. It's generally hot metal that's burning or hot chemicals that's burning and coming down that will wound you. And of course, like all U.S. soldiers, they sat there with a stupid look on their face and were like, woo-hoo, that's interesting and fun. Yeah, people die there. But soldiers being what they are, they do and can say stupid things. That being said, that's Malcolm Nance talk for transition is coming. The United States, according to reporting, of course, from Axios, according to reporting, President Trump repeated a phrase that was used early on in the war that is a quote from Russell Crowe in the movie Gladiator, in which he ordered Pete Hegseth to unleash hell on Iran. However, if we did attack the Iranians, but we did not unleash hell, I guess Trump is expecting the Iranians now to surrender and come back to the negotiating table. That is definitely not on the table. But the United States launched multiple waves of attacks. And let me see. Okay. The U.S. Navy and Air Force carried out attacks across the entirety of the Persian Gulf. I almost cannot even bother naming other things. However, they are hitting bridges and roadways around Bandar Abbas, and they appear to be, Wajeeh, if you have a map, can you bring up Bandar Abbas? Sorry,
yes,
Jacob
sir.
and I don't have our maps.
Got it.
I can tomorrow. Actually, I have a monitor behind me now, in where I'm staying, and I have an HDMI cable, so I can set that up. Right there at the mouth of the shark. If you expand that right there, that's Bandar Abbas Port down there, just past the head of the shark. The United States, that is a big city. It's one of the bigger cities in Iran, further up. And the United States is attacking in a semicircle around Bandar Abbas, attacking roadways, attacking bridges, attacking command posts, attacking other facilities in an effort to cut Bandar Abbas off logistically from Iran. This is an interesting strategy, I guess, if you want to call it a strategy. Sorry, guys, I didn't get to the coffee cups today because I needed to start, and I'm all ready for my first double espresso of the afternoon. But this strategy, I served a decade in that area. Okay, we did assessments of how to cut those islands off, and this is some bizarre grand strategy Fox News thing that if you think you can cut the bridges off, you're going to cut that city off. Wajeeh, can you find the population of Bandar Abbas for me? Because I'm sure it's pretty significant. I think it might be several 100,000. This is not freaking Troy, okay? You cannot cut off every road. And as we saw yesterday, when they cut off the road to Lars, which is further north of the city, they blew up the bridge, and all they did was brought down a bulldozer. Just read it for us, what the population is, please.
769,000.
Almost 1 million people, 750,000 people. Every one of those people is going to be engaged in enterprise. And the newest enterprise, don't forget, Iran has 93 million people, which means every person in Iran who is out to make money is going to be transporting stuff down to Bandar Abbas in their cars, not in giant trucks. And some trucks will be doing it too. And they'll go to all the nearest cities around it and offload and put it down into Kia Bongos, right? Which are those little mini trucks with the little hatch in the back. And you can stack up 20, 30 cartons of food, fuel, ammunition, whatever it is. And they'll just go down that little dirt path that was made next to the bridge and up the other side. And suddenly your bombing means nothing. So this appears to me that the United States is attacking Bandar Abbas because they think they are following Trump's orders to cut off the Strait of Hormuz support area, and that maybe, crazy enough, it's the shaping operation for land warfare. Let's hope not. Yes, Jacob, you have a point.
Yeah, exactly. And, in addition to bringing in high clearance vehicles and just going around, the tunnel and bridge that we were talking about connecting Bandar Abbas on the highway heading straight north was fixed within 24 hours. There's reports of that. And that's generally what happens, They have so many people doing this work, and if there's one thing they aren't missing, that's people willing to fix these roads, and that happens quickly. So it takes a lot more to block Bandar Abbas.
But you see, the American administration has calculated all the attacks. So by now, Iranians are waving the white flag and they're on their knees, tears in their eyes, begging for Donald Trump to end this war as soon as possible. So you must be mistaken, Jacob.
Yeah, I must clearly. I'm only speaking from experience, and that has no validity at all.
It doesn't on Twitter. I'm told every day that my experience, my favorite one that I'm hearing now is that you haven't had a top secret clearance for like 10 or 15 years. Well, neither do people who are doctorates in Middle Eastern studies, right? I mean, you know, we do, our lives and our careers did not end the day we got out of the military, right? You're aware that you can read these BUKS things, right? Books. And you can actually learn new things and incorporate that. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. That's MAGA spelling. So I have to spell it out for them. And that, the depth of our combined knowledge just on this show, I learn new things. I see things in the comments down there that people are saying. So we are seeing amongst us as three geopolitical analysts and two former intelligence and one scholar of all of this, we are seeing that this strategy, if you can call it that, really is not a strategy, right? It really is not a strategy. So a strategy means that you have laid out one, a policy which will guide all of your actions. Somebody says I've gained a new language. I speak MAGA. No, I can't be that stupid. They call me out every time. They go, "You're using big words." So a strategy is a policy which lays out the steps, operations, and maneuvers that you are going to use as a nation to achieve an activity, terrain, or in this particular case, bring your enemy to your will.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, the will is to get America or Iran to negotiate with America and give up materials, give up actions, give up behaviors that are dissatisfactory to us and the global market. And Iran's apparently they have a strategy too. And their strategy is they are going to dominate the region. And that America striking them has shown all of America's weaknesses, shown all of Iran's strengths. And they're going to keep using those strengths to deny America's allies a seat in the House and to deny the access to the Persian Gulf. And I'm going to bring that to a quote I just read by Commander of the Revolutionary Guard Navy. The Strait of Hormuz is closed to the United States forever and will never reopen to America.
Oh.
They have the capacity to do that, to bend our will to that.
Yeah.
So yes, Jacob.
And unfortunately, when the Trump administration makes a strategy, it's based on wishful thinking and fantasy and delusions.
Fantasy baseball.
Unfortunately, when Iran, whatever you think of Iran, and most of us despise the Islamic regime in Iran, but they actually base their strategy on knowledge and intelligence. And that's it's crazy.
Wajeeh.
Iran actually has an active board that is running the country. I have dubbed a video this morning of an interview with the Iranian foreign minister having an interview with the Times of Tehran. I'm happy to show you the video. It's only about a minute and a half. And he basically openly is saying that, listen, our board that is appointed, the supreme leader is the same board that is sitting down and coming up with whether they should agree on the MOU or not. And the first time they had a hard time all meeting at all one place or meeting online, so they were meeting in separate groups. And the second time they were able to meet up for the MOU, and they have been reaching an agreement. So whether he did not, he didn't receive any questions about whether the supreme leader is alive or not. But to me, this shows that Iran has an active, ongoing operation with the best people that they have to operate the country on behalf of Iran to make decisions that would be beneficial for the Iranian government in the long run and for the Islamic Revolution. Now, you put that into perspective versus what we have in the United States. You genuinely have a bigger picture because you have people
Right.
representing the US, and this is technically their first negotiations they have ever entered. JD Vance doesn't have any diplomacy experience, doesn't have any conflict resolution experience. Jared Kushner, same thing. Stephen Witkoff is a billionaire. What do these people know about talking peace? What do these people know about the details of a nuclear agreement? They have absolutely no idea what they're doing. And when you
They
put these
know
things into
jack
perspective,
shit.
you really go want to pull your hair off. I don't have any hair left in my head, but God damn it.
They know jack shit.
Oh, that's because you gave yourself a haircut. There's a big difference.
That's right.
One of the articles that I found very interesting is that this is actually from the New York Times. Are you ready for this? They say the Trump administration is concerned that the Iranians, right, might be able to actually hurt us after this attack, which killed 2 U.S. servicemen, which, by the way, and one is missing, most likely dead, which will most likely bring the U.S. death toll killed in action up to 16, which, can I point something out to you, is 16 greater than 13? Yes or no, somebody?
Yes.
Is 16 greater than 13? Yes. Okay, how many U.S. soldiers did we lose in Afghanistan on the withdrawal? Joe Biden.
16.
13,
13.
16,
13.
13.
Yeah.
We said this a couple of times. Trump was hell-bent not to exceed 13. Because then he would say, oh, well, you lost more than Joe Biden. So now here he is. Now here he is. And this is what we heard coming out of the White House yesterday, that he was fuming about the casualties. And did you see his statement on the U.S. service members? Here's almost his entire statement. It's sad. And what I thought was very funny, Fox News actually drafted that up and said, Trump expressed his grief. Trump said this on a golf course. Now, actually, he's made his statement in a conference, but he was on a golf course all yesterday getting the news that U.S. service members had died. And he is well past Joe Biden. And by the time this thing settles, he will not be able to use the talking point that Joe Biden lost 13 soldiers. Yeah, on one day from a suicide bomber attack. Trump completely ignored the 4,000 U.S. service members and allied service members that died in Afghanistan prior to that, right? He's the guy who released the Taliban, gave us the 5,000 Taliban that helped make that attack possible with ISIS. So that being said, the United States is confused. They are confused that Iran seems to have better capability. Funny how that works. However,
They weren't
yes, please.
quite awake during the first 40 days of the war because we said that repeatedly. They are doing spectacular penetrations. That's what it means. They didn't watch our show, Malcolm.
No.
Well, they were too busy striking Iran to notice Iran was bombarding every base we had. Don't forget when those first 9 service members died at Fort Shuaibah in an unsecure, 5-wide, command post connex. It was a trailer. He didn't particularly care, If I'm not mistaken, I'm not mistaken that did he go to the return of the remains, but it doesn't matter to him. These are inconsequential things. His strategy is that he is going to turn Iran into the new Venezuela and get their oil. Or he is going to harm them until they beg him to stop doing what they're doing. And this is where he has a complete misunderstanding of what's going on.
Right.
He does not care. Look, they're brown people. They're to him, they're a bunch of towel heads who are easy to beat because they're like ISIS. They're terrorists. By the way, this guy took credit for the defeat of ISIS, even though most of it happened during Barack Obama's campaign. Right, the entire campaign was set up by Barack Obama as a strategy to use the PKK. Then he abandoned the Kurds to the Turks. Right, and ISIS is now
And most
coming
of the
back.
ground war was made by the pro-Iranian Shia militia in Iraq.
I wanted to mention something.
Yeah.
If you noticed, yesterday and the day before yesterday, Saudi Arabia made sure that Iran knows 100% from Pakistan that Pakistan will be getting involved if any further attacks happen in Saudi Arabia. They didn't ask Trump to do that. They asked who? Pakistan. Now, why am I mentioning this? Well, the reason is because we keep seeing US bases are continuing to be hit in Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, even in Qatar. When Pakistan signs a nuclear umbrella agreement with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia puts its all diplomatic pressure on Pakistan to do something about it, knowing that they can no longer trust the United States for safety and security. This just shows you the step-by-step process I was telling you about, how slowly but surely the door will be shut on the U.S. face when it comes to United States bases in the Middle East. And you're seeing it being played slowly. The Saudi government didn't ask the U.S. to do anything when it comes to its protection now. Why? Because they know the U.S. is the one that's attracting the attacks to them, rather than the repelling the attacks on these nations. So, listen. If in a few years you guys are not welcome in the Middle East, this is because Trump's action. The Trump administration has affected your presence in the Middle East for the next 100 years.
Let's talk about that right after I go over the Iranian attacks. Let's talk about the hard reality that the United States may be leaving the Persian Gulf. Trump may have ended 40. It's more than 47. 1952. Somebody get me a number on that, right? However many years that was up till today. He may have ended all U.S. policy since the installation of the Shah of Iran. 74 years of U.S. policy. Thank you, Joe, and Jake and Wajeeh. This man literally may have created Iraq. Did I say may have? This man has turned Iran into a regional power. And when they say they're not letting the U.S. Navy back into the Strait of Hormuz, well, even if we try freedom of navigation operations, of which I've done many, many freedom of navigation operations, that's where you challenge the enemy by going through that waterways. Unfortunately, this waterway is not an international waterway. It's not. It's an Iranian one and an Omani one. And you can try to go through on the Omani side, but there's consequences, and the Iranians are willing to pay those consequences. Just FYI,
and the
United
Iranians
States
will bring out point number 5 in the MOU, where it says it's in dialogue with Iran. For the Iranians, that means we have to clear everything.
Well, unfortunately for you, Foreign Minister Arachi yesterday announced Iran is now formally 100% withdrawn from the MOU. There is no MOU anymore.
No, exactly.
Iran pulled out of that yesterday. So we are back to a state of war. We are back to, as the Geneva Convention calls it, a conflict, even if one side or the other does not recognize that conflict. That conflict exists, and it cannot be reversed. So Um, somebody says, but where are the guardian angels of the Strait of Hormuz?
Guardian
Yeah, they're guarding the front of the Strait of Hormuz. So that is what is happening there. I wanted to tell you something. The United States, according to the Iranian Ministry of Health, has killed 57 people, including 517 wounded Iranians, military and civilian alike. From what we saw in the imagery and the post-strike, that bridge, that truck bridge going to Bandar Abbas had civilian vehicles on it. And the most noteworthy was a fuel tanking tractor trailer. Of course, the driver was killed in that. And I think the actual strike was timed to get that truck while it was on the bridge. So that is an interesting component of it. But 57 killed. This is a country that may have lost 6,000. And I don't know where Trump gets this bizarre. Somebody says they killed 2 children also on the bridge. People drive around with their kids all the time, driving their POVs, their private owned vehicles. And we do not choose to strike those bridges when they're empty. We choose to strike them when they're full, to tell you the truth. I've seen that. So the United States somehow believes that this campaign of hitting, again, Chabahar, Konarak, Bandari Jas, Sirik, Bandar Abbas, working their way up the coast, that somehow this is going to convince the Iranians the pressure is too much. They're bombarding bridges around Bandar Abbas. We're having a shortage of goat kebabs. This is just pure, unadulterated ignorance and a strategy that is founded on fantasy and racism, period.
Again,
Because
this is not a strategy. This is habits, Malcolm. This is habits of a
mm,
man that is only used to blackmailing anyone and everyone he knows to get his way
mm,
through. And the Iranians have hired their own psychiatrists and therapists to literally understand Trump's mental state of mind when they are messaging him. You can't make this up because the Iranians have admitted to it. The reality is, Iran knows at this point if you give Trump an inch, he takes a mile. And
so
they know that that's why they need to make sure that their upper hand in controlling the Strait of Hormuz stays that way, regardless of what deal they make with the Omanis. Iran continues their chokehold on the strait. Trump continues to have the lower hand.
Yep. Well, there's a comment from Al Arabiya yesterday. Mujtaba al Khamenei, in a written message, said, quote, the United States repeatedly breached commitments made under the Memorandum of Understanding. He calls President Donald Trump's signature worthless and invalid. Oh, there's going to be bombs dropped for that. That guy is so proud of his,
Civic
his
signatures.
is pubic hair signature that alone will get bombing. Trump will be furious about that. He says the Iranian nation and the resistance front have, quote, unforgettable lessons for the United States. Well, I certainly am not forgetting those either. And that is one component of it. It underscores the fundamental approach. Somebody wrote here, Danny Centrinowitz, an analyst, wrote, Mujtaba Khamenei's latest statement underscores a fundamental problem with the current U.S. approach. The administration appears to believe additional military pressure could eventually, oh my God, could eventually bring Iran back to the negotiating table in a weaker position. The first 40 days, they ended up with $300 billion and $24 billion in cash dropped off on pallets out of an airplane. So what's weaker? $400 billion? I just don't understand this. And I think he does live in a fantasy world, and that this entire conflict is based on that. Before we go any further, Iran set about to carrying out strikes, including daylight strikes. Iran struck yesterday Kuwait. They struck we talked about that. Ali Al Salam Air Base got struck again. They struck the Ahmadi oil terminal, and I mentioned this yesterday. They struck the U.S. Navy logistics support pier, where we get all of our fuel when we're in the Persian Gulf. And that's significant because, of course, that means none of the tankers out there, oil tankers or any other ship, is going to be able to fuel up. It's a warning to the Kuwaitis. They've confirmed that 2 of their 6 desalination plants are damaged and or heavily destroyed. They did not strike Bahrain, as far as I can tell. No. I received alerts. They did have a ballistic missile and drone alert. It's possible that the Bahrainis shot them down. American aircraft that were operating from the Sheikh Issa Air Base, that's the P-8 Poseidon aircraft, are now flying out of Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. It's just a matter of time before the Iranians remove Saudi Arabia's current immunity. They haven't struck Saudi Arabia since March, if I'm not mistaken. Same with the United Arab Emirates, hasn't been hit since April or May. So these are significant movements that the United States has asked the Saudis to move this aircraft there, and the Iranians aren't striking them. But I don't know how long that's going to last.
Have you heard about the MQ-9?
The Triton drone, MQ-9 Reaper at Muwafaq al-Salti may have been destroyed. They hit that hangar there. But more importantly, the MQ-4C.
No, this one was airborne.
Oh,
this one.
What about? Did they shoot one down?
Yeah, they just shot one down about an hour, 2 hours ago. MQ-9. They have announced it.
Reaper drone. There you go. Let me put that on my little list. Let me see here. You add the 4, carry the 5, and you get MQ-9 drone shot down. This is for history. So that if I ever, I keep every day's notes of this war so that I can refer to them when I write my book about how, you guys have heard of future war. You've heard of, historical war. I'm going to write a book called Dumbass War. And it will be the idiocy of Donald Trump in modern warfare.
You got to call it Don Zoo.
Don Zoo's up. Somebody's already got that stuff written down. I'll tell you what. That's public domain stuff. If we wrote that up really quickly and put it on Amazon Marketplace, we could actually get credit for that. Britain and Germany are evacuating their diplomats from Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, believing the region is, according to my good friend, OSINT Warfare. OSINT Warfare is as an analyst. I won't tell you where he is. We've met him, been to his house. They now say that believing that they are on the brink of a major war. However, these have not been announced. So take it with a grain of salt. Some people say that they have, some people say that they haven't. As of right now, a good analyst, I might be the Institute of the Study of War. Nope. Let me see here. I think it's a report from Channel 12. Are saying that Israel is preparing for a return to full-scale war. We mentioned that the U.S. has moved only 20 KC-135 tankers to Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv because the 70 they had there before were creating too much congestion. Others are being moved out to other bases. Okay, next, the Iranians are claiming, just a claim, no one has verified this until we go through the pieces, that the missiles used on Muwafaq al-Salti Air Base were called the Khyber Shekan ballistic missiles, which are a solid-fueled hypersonic missile, right? And that they have what's called terminal maneuvering. Missile comes down, right? Understands the intercept point, and then it jinks, goes off target, and then will screw up the ballistic trajectory of a Patriot. A Patriot does not really maneuver. It calculates an intercept point in space using basic geometry. But if you have little rocket thrusters on it, these ballistic missiles come through space. They can actually change their course and come down at a more critical angle or a shallower angle and then jink. And that screws up the Patriot's intercept point, which should be here, but you're up here now. And it's going that way. And now you see them, and they are coming down very, very, very fast. We cannot confirm that it is a Khyber Shekan missile that they used, but that's what the IRGC is promising, and they're saying that more surprises are to come for the United States. However, the Khyber Shekan missile only has a range of 1,450 kilometers, which means its launch zone can only be in the mountains of southwest Iran. It's usually mounted on a TEL, Transporter Erector Launcher. These are trucks where the missile rides in the back. And the way they disguise them is they put tarps over them, and they look like 16-wheel trucks. And then when they get to their launch point, they just raise it, lock it down, put in the launch data, boom, missile takes off. The TEL goes back to looking like a 16-wheel truck, goes to a missile resupply base, and goes and does that. Somebody says, when the Patriot come down, is that like a missile attack too? Yes, we do have imagery of Patriot missiles that have gone stupid. They're going
There was
stupid.
one just the other day.
We showed that one. We thought it was a Khorramshahr 4 missile. And there's actually a very healthy debate amongst many analysts about will they use the Khorramshahr 4 missiles against Gulf states in order to really punish them. But those have very long range. You can launch them off the Baluch border. And would you really want to waste them on Bahrain or Qatar? That's why I was quite surprised when I thought that was a Patriot that blew up mid-intercept, and another one went stupid. We have a video of one in Saudi Arabia. No, it's Bahrain when it went right into the ground and hurt people on the ground. Anti-air weapon systems go stupid all the time. Okay, but a lot of manned and unmanned aircraft were destroyed. Do you have a comment, Jacob?
Yeah, but just asking, I'm going to say more about Jordan because there's stuff
I'm about
going
to talk
on
about
Jordan.
the aircraft that were destroyed there. They not only hit Muwafaq al-Salti Air Base, they hit a forward U.S. base that we've been operating for years now. It's interesting because that base was attacked during the 12-day war. Remember that? And 3 soldiers, all African Americans, surprisingly, were killed at that base. And it is way out at the eastern edge of Jordan. I want to say its name is like E7 or E8 or something like that. I'll have to look it up. But it's a forward special operations helicopter base that was when we abandoned Tanf in Syria, which, by the way, was like 15 miles to the north in Syria. We moved all of our 160th Special Operations Aircraft Regiment helicopters down there. Their job is to act as a forward base to go into Syria, Iraq, and combat search and rescue in Iraq and Syria. And that base has been operated for some time now. I'm just having a senior moment here. I can't remember the name of that base. But
the E7,
it's
also been targeted by the pro-Iranian militia in Iraq.
Yes, it has.
The last couple of years. Yeah.
I'll get you the name here in a moment.
It's E7, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's a code. Yeah, there it is. Not more, but I'll get it. This was last year. We had 3 service members killed at that base. The reason I'm mentioning this is that base apparently took a direct hit also, and that multiple Black Hawk helicopters, and maybe even Little Bird helicopters of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment or the U.S. Air Force Combat Search and Rescue were severely damaged when the flight line was hit. Another satellite image showed that Muwafaq al-Salti's helicopter flight line was also hit, and that the hangar that was destroyed had an F-15E Strike Eagle aircraft inside it. So we're going to start seeing the U.S. equipment totals start going up. But today we're um, we're emphasizing the two service members, maybe three, most likely three service members that were killed yesterday. Okay, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, there's
January
clearly much more.
It was January 2024 during the Iran-Israel war, ballistic missile city war, when they fired off 500 ballistic missiles. They were an engineering company that was Tower 22. God damn it. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Tower 22 is the name of that space. It is literally near the tri-border area of Iraq, Jordan, and Syria. I have been through that border checkpoint, and the base, well, not giving it, you can see it on Google Earth, right? The base is right off to the right as you take the highway to Amman, Jordan. Oof, senior moment there. But now, that's twice that base has been attacked. Okay. Anything else to add in terms of attacks? Yes, Jacob.
Yeah, a lot of targeting on Jordan. We have confirmation that Iran sent 4 ballistic missiles towards Jordan, towards the southern city of Aqaba on the Red Sea.
Next one.
3 of them have been shut down. It happened just a few hours ago. Lots of uproar in Israel as well, because the Israeli southern city of Eilat is just, really
opposite Aqaba.
Stones throw away. So what the Iranians were trying to strike, I'm not sure as yet, but significant that they are expanding the targets in Jordan.
Well, not to be left out, the Iranians attacked. Sorry, guys, I'm just beat from being around this stuff. If I end up in Dubai here, I'm going to be angry like every day. Iraqi Kurdistan was attacked. Erbil was attacked last night, by drones, attacking anti-Iranian Kurds who were in Kurdistan, in Iraqi Kurdistan yesterday. The U.S. counter CRAM, counter rocket and artillery and missile Gatling gun was active over Kurdistan last night, over Erbil last night, shooting down Iranian drones. I wanted to bring this up yesterday, and we'll go to questions after that. I don't have a question thread up. Yikes. Oh, wait, I think I do. Let me go on here and tell you. I think I started it last night, all right? These attacks are coming so fast, left and right, that I put the chats up now at like 3 a.m. It's like, why bother waiting till 9 a.m. for this? We've got all this crazy ass activity. So, the last thing that we got to report is we want to talk about water desalination plants. This is the actual statistics on countries using water desalination. That's where you take seawater, you run it through massive evaporators, usually natural gas, coal, or solar plants that evaporate the seawater. The seawater then has a wastewater runoff, which is pure slushy salt. And then the water, the H2O in it, evaporates, turns into a gas, is captured into a giant container, which is called has a cooling tower, and the H2O returns back as pure water and is captured and then run off. So the cycle brings the salt away. It turns the water into gas. Gas is shuttled off to another place into large evaporating containers. It brings in the evap, and that turns it into pure fresh water. They can do this with wastewater, brown water. There are also 3 brown water facilities in Kuwait as well, which can be used for, anything. It's toilet water, right? It doesn't matter. It's not turned into toilet water. It's turned into pure water, which the two things are completely different things, which is how we get water on submarines, by the way. We take wastewater and we turn it into evap. We evap it and we turn it into pure fresh water. The Gulf states percentage of countries using water desalinization. Bahrain, 100% of all water in Bahrain is fresh water, fresh water that comes from desalinization. The reason that the Iranians hasn't struck it, Wajeeh, what do you think? You're the Gulf guy. Why haven't they struck the fresh water in Bahrain?
Because majority of Bahrainians are Shia.
Shia Muslims. Well, that's their allies. If they ever overthrow a government, that's how it's going to start. And believe me, when we were there, Iranian agents were always around. There were protests, marches against our base in Bahrain. The government allows a little bit of it, but now they're in crisis mode. And you don't know. You don't know. Qatar, 99%. And this is interesting. The Iranians are hitting each country's greatest vulnerability. And Qatar's is liquid natural gas, not fresh water. Interesting. Kuwait, 90%. Now, Kuwait is using actual U.S. ground forces to attack Iran. And Iran is getting their attention by striking freshwater desalinization plants or saltwater desal plants. Not bad, not good. Saudi Arabia, 70%. And the United Arab Emirates is the second lowest with 42%. It doesn't have Oman on here because I don't think Oman gets any from there. Oman has an entire mountain chain that is going down its eastern side, and it's getting water off of there. So does the United Arab Emirates. UAE gets only 42% of it. They get water from the mountains of Fujairah, these deep wells that are up there, and El Ain, going all the way down to El Ain. El Ain means the source, right? The spring. And El Ain is a natural oasis where water comes up from the water table. And they sell their bottled water in the United Arab Emirates, El Ain water. Dubai, on the other hand, gets 100% of its water from water desalinization plant, even though most of the UAE gets it from half of it from source water. And who has the least amount of water desalinization plants in the entire region? Iran. 3%. And that 3% is dotted along the Strait of Hormuz on those islands. And so why we are knocking out those water desal plants and giving Iran a reason to bombard the Gulf states' water desalinization plant. Wajeeh, you mentioned this yesterday. It is a crazy strategy. It's madness. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
This is how
Iran, I also mentioned that Brian Allen reported that Iran has formally withdrawn from the memorandum of understanding. I'm sure something has happened in the last 45 minutes. As of right now, because we are just beleaguered, I'm going to answer questions online. We're going to skip today's question and answer, or you can go to Wajeeh. Are you having a Q&A?
Yeah, I will have my Q&A. And tomorrow, I have a special one for everyone. I'm interviewing Deborah Shushan.
That's Dr. Shushan.
She is a fellow at Georgetown University, specializing in U.S. Middle Eastern relations, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and the future of Syria. All of these questions we'll answer it for you guys if you're interested. Please join us.
All right, great. That'll be good. Jacob, anything going on in your world we should know about?
Well, it's the weather has turned bad here in Denmark, so I'm inside
That's why
today
you're
for
indoors.
once. But no, I'm just trying to keep a bit of track of on all these crazy things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Well, I am sorry that we are having to go through this war all over again, but all 1,700 ish of you who are watching this, I hope you gained something out of it. We are going to keep detailing the strikes as they go. As you can see right now, I don't even need to go after each little individual strike. The United States does. Same places all over and over again, almost the exact same thing. It's like they're trying to obey Trump's order and just do something, right? And they have not been given the all ahead. Now, tomorrow is Monday, where Donald Trump claims he is going to authorize strikes against every aspect of Iranian civil society, energy, bridges, power plants, which, if you strike energy in order to punish a society as a collective punishment, one of Bibi Netanyahu's favorite tactics, that is a war crime. Right? If you're knocking down a power plant that powers a specific military base, that's dual use. You can sort of get away with that, but you cannot punish the local society for existing. So we shall see about that. So thank you for coming. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to YouTube. We are going up. We've already reached 176,000 followers, up from like 160 something when this war began. We are pushing to get to 250,000. I'm going on some big name podcasts on YouTube so that we can try to get that up. I don't know. I might have to do Hassan Piker or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, let's do Hassan Piker. Yes, let's do it.
Oh, Allah, that kid. Anyway, that guy, He's got issues. Anyway, I'm not sure I need that heat, but he does need my technical expertise. There are a lot of podcasts out there that need our technical expertise. So if you see guys out there, Jim Acosta, all those guys, just say, hey, why don't you get Malcolm and Jacob and Wajeeh on? They'll give you all the details so that you don't have to keep going to these PhDs from Harvard University when all of us have been shot at by these guys, right? So same on Substack. If you are not a paid subscriber on Substack, this is the only time you're ever going to hear me say this. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber on Substack for the three of us, Wajeeh, Jacob, and myself. Mine is $7. And I'm now putting out in all my tweets, I go, help a brother out. So, we shall see where I end up as this war expands. I may be going in theater, who knows? But thank you for coming to today's episode of that. Please see us tomorrow at this time. If you have questions, I will be bringing up a question and answer chat. Post your questions there, and in my stupor, I can answer your questions calmly. So, Jacob, Wajeeh, see you all tomorrow.
See you
See you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
All right, bye-bye.
I'm still waiting to hear from Mario.
Okay, bye. I'll call him. Bye.